Okay, welcome back, family. So we find ourselves in Rio Rancho. I'm just left my parents' house just a few minutes ago. Now this is day 4 for those of you that need an update. This is day 4. So it's been a while since I checked in. Last time I checked in with you guys, I should be, I think, when we were almost to my parents' house on day 1. So in the end, obviously I did decide not to record the zoo trip. My parents did actually manage to get the day off yesterday for the zoo trip, and I wasn't sure if they would, and so then when it ended up being that they did, I decided instead to just kind of make it kind of a quiet family thing and not worry about recording or anything else. So that's what I did. And then the day before that, my sisters and I, my parents were still working and doing their thing, and so the day before that, my sisters and I goofed around, did a slew of things, but one of the things we did was Old Town in Albuquerque, and Old Town Albuquerque is a super cool place, and but I decided not to record that either and just kind of make it a quiet family affair. So I decided, so today is day 4, like I said. My family is, they all have another obligation, and that they are all off doing that, and so I have a couple of hours in the morning this morning to kind of do, kind of entertain myself and do my own thing. So we are headed near a place I used to live. There is a spot that I used to go and hang out and park, and it's just far enough outside the boundary of like the super populated city limits that it's actually a pretty quiet spot, and the view is really, really great. And I used to do that because when I used to live here, I used to probably once every 6 months, or once maybe a little bit more. We're not too far from actually a forest called the Jemez, and Jemez Forest is a very, very cool place. And I used to go because I feel like I would always need the reset. When life got very stressful and I really wanted to get some nature to get some peace, I would go to Jemez Forest. But the thing is, like, that forest I think it's like 50 miles, I think, like one way, and so obviously it's not super convenient to have like 100-mile round trip, and you can't you can't always afford the time or the gas to drive 100 miles, just to get a reset. And it's a nice thing to do when you can afford it, but when you can't, it's not the funnest thing. So my compromise, my more affordable compromise, was there was a spot not too far from my house that you could get that similar quiet. Because the thing I liked about the Jemez was there was lots of great spots to go, but the spots that I used to go and hang out at was a very good place. It was very quiet. There's just all the trees, and you can hear the wind blowing through them, and it was a very great place to kind of get some peace and kind of get a reset from the stress of everyday life. And so the spot that we are going to try to go to, and I'll explain that in a minute, but the spot that we're going to try to go to is has that similar vibe of being quiet. Obviously no trees, we are not near enough for any kind of trees. However, it is far enough away from the traffic that it is quiet, and then the view is really, really good. So at least it was last time I was here. So we'll see what it's like now. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that it is, I believe the last tiny section is actually in dirt. It's on dirt roads, and I'm really nervous about taking my bike on a dirt road because street bikes get real squirrely on dirt. And so I don't know. We will see. We will see. I don't know how deep we're going to go and if we can even make it, and if it's even as unpopulated as it used to be. I really don't know. But I thought I would at least head that direction while my family was off doing another thing, and I thought that would be a good place to start for us, just as a quick little detour while we are still here. So, oh damn, that sucks. Anyway, oh my god, dude, I probably should have just blown it. Oh man, I just hate that when those lights turn super, super late. So annoying. Anyway, so I lost my train of thought now that I had to like lock up the dang bike, which was annoying. Anyway, so yeah, while my family's off doing something else, I thought that would be a good place to start for us to have a fun little detour while I'm still here. So So something like I meant to say. So I have ND16 is what's on the camera right now, and I am hoping you can hear me just fine and all the tech part. I'm hoping there's no difficulties with that. But I'm using ND16 right now. So for the whole trip, I used ND32 because it was very, very bright and sunny. Now it is currently bright and sunny, but there is clouds that have been kind of rolling. Hey, I'm not stopping for that one. There has been clouds that is kind of rolling around and blocking sun on and off. So just to be safe, I put on ND16 instead of ND32. So just so you guys are aware, if it looks a little bit different, that would probably be why. Anywho, so one of the main reasons why we're doing this right now, to be honest, is because I thought having kind of like more of a serious moment, kind of more of a reflective moment on how far I've come, and like, I don't know, like, obviously I've never taken like vacation. I mean, I've taken vacations, but it doesn't happen all the time, and I've never taken a vacation like what I did my own thing, like taking a GoPro and like recording the whole thing on my motorcycle. Like, I've certainly never done anything like that before. And previously, if I had a vacation, it was usually because I was jobless and not because I actually had like PTO or anything else. And this is the first time where I took like a legit vacation, where I put in for the time off, and it just came out of my PTO, and so I'm getting paid for all this. And then, but like come next week, I have work again, and like it just, life resumes. But like previously, if I was taking a vacation, it was because something was wrong. Usually it's because I was jobless or whatever. And so this is the first time I've done anything that's quite like this. So I thought a fun little kind of serious moment in the video would be kind of having some, a little bit of a reflection. And I thought I would kind of share some positive thoughts that I've had as my life has been seriously changing over the last couple of years. So for some backstory, and while we're driving, I might as well start. So for some backstory, I moved from New Mexico to Utah in 2020. It was in the middle of, obviously, COVID was in full swing. COVID was in full swing, and although a lot of people had like lockdowns and stuff, just the way it worked out, I ended up dodging a lot that bullet. My life was pretty much the same, because when COVID hit, I don't think I had a job. I don't think I had a job when COVID was first kicking off, and I already didn't pretty much go anywhere, and so that was obviously not a big deal. But then even when I started working, the jobs that I did were considered essential. And so they went on like business like normal pretty much. And so because I was like doing like delivery jobs and things like that, and they were considered whatever essential. And I'm really hoping this guy's gonna let me in and not make this a whole deal. Anyway, actually, never mind then. It's inconsequential. They're all turning off and they can't stop me because I'm faster than them. Anyway, we actually need to slow down just a hair. I'm going too fast. Anyway, perfect. So yeah, and the jobs that I was doing was considered essential. So my jobs weren't interrupted. When COVID was going on, I was doing the same thing. Now, yeah, you had to mask up and stuff, but otherwise, my job, when I was working, my jobs were pretty much the same. Now, me moving to Utah was not a relaxing experience. It was not like I have plenty of money, let's just go. The only reason I was able to even be able to move to Utah was because they were sending out us stimulus checks, and so I finally ended up getting a stimulus check. And at the time, I was living with my sisters. I didn't have a job. I couldn't find one. I had been jobless for I think a couple of years, and our lease was coming due. And my sisters were all moving on once the lease was up. My sisters were not going to renew. They weren't going to renew, and I was basically getting like you had to figure things out on your own kind of thing because that's what I was faced with, which is now you kind of have to figure things out. And just the way it ended up working out, my parents, I assumed in the back of my mind that my parents were gonna make room for me in their place, and that was gonna happen, but that ended up not happening. And they told me that they weren't able to actually give me a place to stay. And so that they were going to offer me their camping equipment, and they were going to help me find a camp, like a KOA kind of thing. And I'm like, and so then I was just faced with this reality that like, I'm going to be homeless. Like I'm going to be homeless. My stuff is going to sit in storage, because my parents, that was part of what they were able to help me to do, was they were going to put my stuff in storage. And so I was faced with this reality that like, I'm gonna be homeless. I'm not gonna have a place to live. My sisters are moving on and doing other things, and my little sister had already moved to Utah, and my older sister was moving to Albuquerque because it was closer to her job at the time, and so she was gonna move to Albuquerque. And so everyone was moving on, and my parents couldn't offer me a spot, and so suddenly I was SOL. And then I just had this realization that I'm going to be homeless. And so then I was looking. So then I got the stimulus check, and I thought, okay, like the reality is, if I don't do something right now with the stimulus check that I just got, I'm never going to get out. I'm never going to get out from under this problem. And I don't think there's any there. The job market in New Mexico sucks, for those of you that don't know, and especially when you're like me, when you have no qualifications. You have lots of experience because I've worked many places, but you have no qualifications. I didn't graduate high school, and I finished supposedly a high school diploma online, but it might not even be accredited. That I found that out later. It looks like it's not even accredited. So really, I just didn't graduate high school, and I don't have any other degrees, and I mean, that's it. So I just have lots of working experience because I've been working since I was 18. And I mean, on and off at lots of jobs, because with my mental health, and I struggle with depression and anxiety, and with my mental health, I was never able to keep a job very long. And so I had this reality that I'm like, I have to get out right now. And if I don't, I am just going to watch this stimulus check slowly disappear from my bank account as I pay bills, and as I pay the few bills that I had, and I'll be in a campground, and I'll never get out. And if I don't do something different. And so honestly, when I started, it was actually kind of hypothetical. When I actually started, I was doing it like this will help me feel better kind of thing. And I think it was the week before. I think it was like the week before that our lease was up, because I think it was like 7 or 8 or 10 days, and then our lease would be up and everybody was moving out, and then so my deadline was like a week and a few days before it was due, and then I was just going to be in a campground. And so then what I was doing while I was still at home with internet is I started just honestly to make myself feel better. I had no concept of doing it seriously, but I started looking up Utah, and I started doing research on Utah and what that was going to be like, and what, like, could I just move there? Could I make that work? What's the job market like? And I opened up some different job sites that I use to find employment, and I think I use Indeed, which I think is the best one. So I was hopping on Indeed.com, and I was looking at different jobs they had, and just with a really quick little browse, I found like 4 or 5 or 6 jobs within like the first page that I was actually able to do. And the job market in Utah just beat the brakes off of what the job market was in New Mexico. So then I thought, what if I could do this? And so then, without really totally planning on like the consequences or thinking about how logistically I was going to make it happen, I started applying at the jobs that I started to find in Utah. And I applied at like three or four of them, and I think I applied to like all the ones that I saw that I thought I could do. And I like 3 or 4 of them within the first day. I think it was by the next day I was getting callbacks. And they were calling me and asking me when they could interview me, and like things were already, like, people were calling me and wondering where I was at, and I was having to explain that I'm actually in New Mexico, that I'm not even in Utah yet. And so then, without totally planning on, like, thinking about what the heck I was doing, I started scheduling like interviews. And then I started, and I told them, yeah, I can meet you at, whatever, 10 a.m. this Wednesday, which was like whatever, in 2 or 3 days kind of thing. And then that was it. And I scheduled like 3 or 4 job interviews. And then I was like, what am I doing? Like, I just scheduled these job interviews. I don't, like, I guess I'm going to Utah. And so then I at the time I still had my little CRV that I drive. I had my CRV, and it was running and doing fine. Also, man, that wind is popping. That's fun. Anyway, it's because it's flat out here. There's nothing to guard me against the wind. That's why. Oh my God. Anyway, but according to the test, I'm hoping you can still hear me. Anyway, but don't worry, we're almost there. And then once we're parked, I can face away from the wind and we can keep going. But anyway, and so then I looked around my room, and I started doing like quick research on gas prices and fuel mileage, and figuring out how expensive it would be. Could I actually afford it? And so then I realized that with my stimulus, if I go right now, I could probably make it work somehow. And because of what the only other option was to be homeless. My only other option was to go camping permanently and hope I could make something work here and hope I could find work. And that was it. So I just decided, you know what? I have nothing to lose. I have nothing to lose anymore. I have nowhere to go here. I have no one to fall back on anymore. And I have to figure this out, because if I don't, I'm gonna be homeless, and I'm never gonna do anything. So that's what I did. And so I packed up I told my parents, I said, you know, actually guys, I'm actually moving. I'm loading up my CRV with everything I can fit in it, and I'm moving to Utah. And I told them that I had job interviews lined up already. And I told them that I had job interviews lined up already, and that they were good to go. And I told them that with my stimulus that I could afford it, and I hoped I would be able to make it work. And yeah, and then I mean, and that's what happened. So I ended up moving to Utah. It seems weird to call it an interview, but I sort of had an interview to rent a room from because obviously the part of Utah I'm in, Springville, Provo, Orem, those places are all college towns, so there's lots of college housing around. Now, for almost all of it, you have to be a college student before you can apply. There we go. I think I can actually see the dirt, and I'm not gonna hit this dirt at full speed, I can tell you that. I'm probably just gonna stop on the side, I think, and I'll let this truck to pass me. I don't know why this guy's been behind me the whole damn time. Go, I'm tired of you people following me. Go away. Suddenly there's like this whole conga line. It's like, man, where are you all going all of a sudden? Anyway, technically, so quick pause on the story. Technically, my spot to go is just up the dirt a little ways, but I'm really nervous about taking my bike on it. So I'm thinking this is probably good enough, because I feel like we're gonna get the same effect anyway. So I'm thinking that's what we'll do. So really quick, I'm gonna push. First of all, I'm gonna kill the engine, because there's no reason to have it on now. And I'm also going to open my helmet, but because my microphone is set up inside the helmet, I'm gonna keep my helmet on. And I don't think this is gonna be a very long trip, a very long little thing here. So I think this will be good enough. Oh man. So anyway, so we'll just get it flipped around here, and we'll pop the kickstand, and well, I don't know, we could just sit here too. I feel like it's the same effect. Anyway, so yeah, maybe really quick, we'll divert from the main story here. Anyway, so really quick, this is approximately where I used to go back in the day, because it's far enough out that on the camera, you guys probably aren't going to be able to hear the difference, and it's not going to mean the same thing, but for me, it is silent out here, because you're far enough away from the traffic of the main city that it is quiet out here. There's no traffic noise, there's no anything noise. It's just silent. It's just silent desert. And this is where I used to, and it's a little farther up is the actual spot I used to go, but I also I was driving my CRV at the time. And I used to go up here, and I'd flip around, because up higher there's a flat spot where I could go left and I could climb up the dirt just a hair and park on this like plateau, and then you could see out really far. But the effect is basically the same, but the view is a little better farther up. But I don't want to risk taking my bike up there. So, but the effect for this effect is the same, that it's silent out here. You can see forever. And this is where I used to go when I needed to reset, kind of emotionally. Anyway, but back to the main story. So I had but because there's lots of college towns and it's college town, so there's lots of places to go, for housing, but housing is kind of murder in the Utah Valley, and for those of you that don't know, and Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, housing is kind of murder, but you don't actually have to be a college student to get a lot of the housing. A lot of them, they're for rent, and they assume you're a student. Most people that do that are, most people are students, and they assume that you are, but you don't have to be to get a room. So I found a room for rent for like $300, I think, and some change. And I found a room for rent for like $300 and some change, and I had filled out the application, and I hadn't gotten approved yet because I think they needed to see me in person or something, but like it looked good that I was gonna get approved, but it wasn't locked in. So I moved to Utah on this gamble, and it was super scary. I had never done anything like that before, but I didn't have any other option. I didn't have any fallback. I had no one here in New Mexico that was gonna take care of me, and my family they were as nice as they could have been, but I think in the end, I think they were really tired of taking care of me, and I was tired of mooching off of them, to be honest. I was really tired. I'm not that guy. I don't like being that guy. But when you have no control over your mental health and your ability to manage things, you're just really SOL, like there's just not a lot you can do. And you're just, your mental health might be bad, but you don't often have anything, you don't feel like you can control it or stop it or handle it at all. And I certainly was a slave to my bad mental health. And so then when I ended up getting to Utah, I had an interview with a job, and it was a janitor job at the Provo Mall. And I ended up getting that job, but the people that worked there, my manager, I don't even remember her name anymore, but I didn't, because I didn't work there too long, but not even for a bad reason. It's because I found a better job that paid me a lot more, and they hired me anyway. But she was super nice because we had talked on the phone several times, and she hired me sight unseen. We just talked, and she had never met me because I was honest, and I told her I was in New Mexico and that I would be in Utah in person in X amount of time, whatever it was at the time. But otherwise that was it. And I just told her that, but she hired me over the phone, and she told me that, yeah, she's like, I would, if I'll take a chance on you, and I'd like to hire you. And that was super cool, and I needed that job lined up because I didn't have any other option. And the janitor job was a really good gig. It didn't pay a lot, but for the work, it was actually really good. But after I got there, I actually met her in person, and I signed all the paperwork side and did that kind of thing. And she was super nice about everything. And so I got the job, and it was part-time, but it would pay my bills and keep me alive, which is what's important, and obviously. And then I did get that room that was in Provo, and really close to my job, and so I got everything. And neither situation was super good. It wasn't as good as it would end up being. Because I did end up switching jobs after a couple of months. I found another job that was full-time, not part-time, and I made like $4 or $5 an hour more per hour at the new job. I was making way more money, and so that company ended up not being a great experience, but for the time I was there, I made really good money, and it did lead to other good things, things that I'm at now. It did lead to other good things, and so it ended up being worth it. But the roommate situation was at that place I rented in Provo was not a great situation either, because the roommates were disgusting, and I had never had roommates that weren't my sisters before, and I realized how much I hated having roommates. Having roommates sucks, and I felt like they were animals, and they were disgusting, and I was scared to death to leave my room because of my anxiety and things, and it was rough. But the point is, I took this massive gamble, and I moved from New Mexico to Utah, and all these things happened, and now I deliver packages for Amazon, and it's a really hard job, but physically, if you can keep up, if you could stick it out, you make really good money, and it's a job I can do. I'm not the best, but I am reliable, and I got on medication, and and obviously things ended up longer term. I ended up making really good money, and now I live with my older sister, and we split a apartment together, and so that makes it much more affordable, and we live and it's a really nice apartment. It's very pretty. It's brand new. We're the first people to live in it, and our lease is up in August, and we're gonna renew, and it's just like, it's lots of good stuff. And obviously I got a motorcycle. I got a GoPro, you know, I upgraded a lot of my recording equipment, so I ended up getting a better microphone, and I got, you know, and I ended up getting a crazy good computer, and like, I just, like, things turned around, and, you know, and so, and the last time that, I mean, it obviously, again, wasn't exactly here, but the last time, basically, I was in this spot, you know, that I was essentially in this spot. I was jobless. I was losing the battle with my mental health, and I was soon to be homeless. And I mean, that was the last time I was right here, pretty much was the last time, and that's where I was at. And that was the last time I was in New Mexico, because then shortly after that I left and turned things around in Utah, and I got medicated, and I did all these other things, and I have a job that's not bad. You know, it's not the dream job, but it's also probably the best job I ever had. And it was hard, and again, no job is perfect. It had its bad points, things I don't like about it, but mostly it's things I do like about it. And the pay is really good, and I work alone, which is a huge bonus for me. And I mean, it was a good deal. I mean, it was a good deal. And so I think the point of all of this, and maybe that was a long monologue, but I feel like the point of this all is that, you know, you matter. You can change. It's not over. Like, if you feel like you're in a bad situation, like I was, where you know, if you feel like you were in a bad situation like I was, where you don't, you know, whatever, your mental health is bad, you have some problem that you don't know how to deal with, you have an addiction that's you know, whooping your backside, whatever the problem is, like, if you feel like it's over, if you feel like you can't hold a job, whatever the problem is, it's not over. It can get better, because all of that was 2 years ago. That was in the middle of COVID, and like, you know, and I don't know, like, my whole life I'd never been someone that could get things done, that once I set my mind to it, it was gonna happen. I was never that guy. I wanted to be that guy. I felt like deep down I was that guy, but my mental health just forbid it. It was like, no matter how badly I wanted to be better, or be more mature, be a better person, it didn't matter. And because I couldn't beat my mental health. Anyway, so that's the point. That's what I wanted to share, was that you matter. You're important. It can get better, and it's worth sticking around for. It's worth figuring out, doing whatever you have to do to be a happier, better, you know, more all-around person, and that you matter. Chase your dreams. Do what you want. Don't live for other people. Like, and you know, and I'm not like a walking success story. It's just like a marvel to me that how quickly things turned around for me, because not too long ago I was almost homeless, you know, and my mental health was getting dangerous, and we'll leave it at that. But suffice it to say, my mental health was getting dangerous, and it can turn around. And so I do things now that I never thought I would do. That was literally just felt like a pipe dream. It was just felt like it was just, you know, maybe one day kind of thing. But that one day can be as soon as you're able to. Just, you know, put your shoulder to the wheel, chase the dream, you know, do whatever it is. It doesn't have to have monetary value to be important, to be worth something, to be a worthy endeavor. Anyway. So I just want to say that I love you guys, and I love my channel. And yeah, it's not big, but I don't do it because I think I'm gonna make money. I don't do it because I think I'm gonna get fame and fortune. I do it because I love it. I do it even if my channel had 0 subscribers and 0 viewers. 100% of the time, I would behave and do exactly the same thing. I would do exactly the same thing, because I only do this because I love it. I only do it because I'm passionate about it, and I love making content. I love making videos. I'm very excited for the GoPro. I'm really excited for the motorcycle, and we're gonna do a lot more motovlogs. And currently it's a little bit chilly. I'm wearing my thick gloves this morning. Tomorrow is the big ride home, and that's looking to be cold. And even when we get back to Springville, the high tomorrow in Springville is like 57, because, you know, Utah forbids it to be warm for even more than a day. And so anyway, you know, so it's looking to be cold, but I am excited because I'm hoping to take more time off. I want to do more hikes. I want to film it with the GoPro. I want to do more motovlogs. I want to film that with the GoPro. There's lots of really great stuff, and I think the GoPro is going to open doors for me on what I can make. And I think my quality, even with the one I have and the setup I have, will get better with time. And I'm just really excited for everything that's coming the way of the channel. And yeah, and you know, and I'm super excited. There's lots of exciting content coming, and there's going to be a lot more moto vlogs. Now that I'm all set up for this, there's a lot more local stuff that we're going to do. I'm hoping much more short term, like just really pretty drives that are pretty short ones, because this one will be very long, of course. It'll probably go up in parts, I imagine, but other ones will be shorter because I can stay more local and not have to take special days off kind of thing to do them. Anyway, and I'm really excited, and I'm really excited to get back home and get back to my there's a fly now. I'm really excited to get back home and get back to my gaming content, and why getting back to watching my anime and things like that. So anyway, I love you guys a lot, and for any of you that did show support on my channel and for the views that I get, because I do have a real small, but people do watch, and even getting one view means the world, and more than you guys know. And so I just want to say thanks. If you're one of the viewers that watches my stuff, even any of it, some of it, whatever, just thank you guys a lot. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and head back to town. I have to get back to my parents' house. My cousin's coming over, and he's gonna show me his bike, because he has a motorcycle too. And we're gonna talk bikes and things. But I have to stop by the Walmart on the way over too. So anyway, I'm gonna get to all of that. But anyway, I just want to say that I gotta check my phone for time. Okay, we're doing good. Anyway, but yeah, I love you guys a lot, and we will see you tomorrow for the big ride home. And I imagine that there'll definitely be some kind of intro video where I talk about whatever, like the ride or the weather or something. So anyway, I will see you guys in that one. I love you. Bye. Okay, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We just left my parents' house, and we are rolling. So it is currently Sunday. This is our drive back day, and we are cruising for a bruising. So it was a fantastic visit. Not gonna lie, there was some Top Gear. There were some tears shed on the goodbye. Hey, what can I say? I am an emotional guy, and I really enjoyed seeing my family, and I super miss them. But it is what it is. So anyway, it was a great visit. I had a lot of fun, and I think it's the first of many. I think it is the first of many. I'm definitely going to be coming back to New Mexico. Yeah, I'll definitely be coming back to New Mexico to see my parents again. But there's lots of fun stuff to do here, and all of that, of course, looks super great. Yeah, and we will definitely be coming back with the GoPro now in future visits. Now I do imagine I will probably keep some of the footage of me cruising with my cousin yesterday. My cousin came over, and he has a Kawasaki Ninja, and we were shooting the breeze and talking about our bikes and things like that. And that was super cool. And then we actually ended up riding a little bit together, and that was super neat. And yeah, and he's really new to the motorcycle scene, just like myself. And now of all of my cousins, we are the only two that are bikers, and so that kind of gives us a unique bond, so to speak. And yeah, it's really great. And so we will definitely be back with the GoPro, and yeah, you guys will be along for the ride when I do. So yeah, today is drive day. We are headed back home. Now we do have some pit stops to make. We have to stop. We're going to stop for gas in Bernalillo, and we are, which is just on the edge of Rio Rancho. It's on our way out of town. So we are going to stop for gas in Bernalillo, and we also need to stop by Walmart, because you might notice that I think with the view, I think you can see I am wearing gray gloves that are not my red ones. You'll probably notice my red ones that I wore most of the trip so far, because yeah, I lost them somewhere. I don't know where they are. I looked all over for them, and I can't find them. So we are leaving without them. But luckily, they were not expensive gloves. They were just like mechanics gloves that I got from Walmart. They were not expensive. So we are going to stop by Walmart, and we are going to pick up some more if they have some version of them. So yeah, we do have a pit stop to make. I also got to turn down my idle. I forgot it was going. Anyway, but yeah, so yeah, we do have a pit stop to make in Bernalillo for gas and for gloves. Just because fingerless gloves, like temperature-wise, it's actually really nice out here. Temperature-wise, it's really nice. It's very blue. I do have ND32 on the GoPro just because of how it's cloudless and bright. So, and so it is cloudless and bright. So I do have ND32 on the camera, which was darker than the one that I used yesterday. But it is the one that I used on drive day 1, so that makes sense. Now, so yeah, but even though it is beautiful and bright out here, it is currently, as of right now, between 50 to 52 degrees, so it's not even bad. When I first got up this morning, I put on my thermals beneath my jeans because I expected to be leaving earlier, but we're leaving a little later than I hoped for. But saying goodbye is hard, and it took a little bit to get ready. My dad is a compressor, so I aired up my tires. I double checked them. They didn't actually need it. I thought I had a leak in one of them, but turns out if it's a leak at all, it's very minute. But just in case, I actually put a few more pounds in, because I think even what I put in when I left Utah was a little too low. So I put in a few more pounds just to be super safe, because I think it's more ideal and for the air pressure. So I did that, and it took a little while to get ready and get going. So we're leaving a little later than expected, and it'll be a little bit later by the time I do a really quick Walmart stop, and when I do Walmart and gas. But it is what it is, and it was worth it to chat with my family in the morning, and we had breakfast together, and we had pancakes, and it was just nice. It was just nice. So super worth it. I don't feel bad at all. We're leaving later, but it is what it is. I'm not super paranoid about it. we did just fine, and I do think we'll make better time today. Better time because I don't have any touristy plans along the way. On the way there, we did hit Wilson's Arch. We will not be hitting that on the way back. It was super cool, but yeah, we did just see that, so we will not be doing that on the way back. And otherwise, I think it's going to be a little bit more businessy. We're just going to be headed back home, so I do think we'll make better time. Plus, I am more used to driving this bike at like interstate speeds now, and so I do think we'll make better time because of that. And yeah, and ideally we will not have any mechanical problems like we did on the way down, because now that I fixed my speedometer cable on the inside, I am hoping nothing else will go wrong on the way back, and that will save me like 45 minutes. So that's super great. So yeah, but we are leaving a little later than expected, but I think it'll probably bounce out just fine. So yeah, it was a great visit. Well, by the time we get to Utah, supposedly the high in Utah today was like 57 degrees. And yeah, so it's going to be a little bit colder. And because we're headed more north, the degrees should be dropping anyway on top of that. So, you know, I don't think it'll be quite as, it won't be as warm as it was on the way down, even as we get farther north, but it's all right. I have really good winter gear that I did bring with me, so we are fully prepared for any eventuality, ideally. So it is what it is. But yeah, in the future, we will be coming back. There is lots of really cool places to see in New Mexico, lots of very cool places to see in New Mexico. Lots of really cool touristy spots. There's Carlsbad, there's Balloon Fiesta, when that's happening. And there's lots of other cool little things to see around here. And when I come back, because it's been so long for this trip, it has been a couple of years since I seen my mom especially, and it's been months and months since I seen my dad and my little sister. So because it was just so long, I wanted to make it a little bit more of a quieter family affair, but when we come back in subsequent trips, I do think it would be fun to film it, which I think would be really exciting. So on the way back, yeah, so when we come back, my train of thought got thrown off by the dipstick and the 4Runner. Anyway, you like my super PG swear word, dipstick, by the way? Anyway, anywho, and so yeah, when we come back, I would love to film it. I would love to actually film the biopark whole experience, because it's super great, and I would love to film Old Town, that kind of thing. But just because for this one it had been so long since I seen my folks that I wanted to make it a little bit more quiet, and so that's what we did. Anyway, so yeah, but it was a great trip. So we are gonna head on back, and we're gonna do our very quick stops here. We're gonna start with fuel. While I'm there, I'm gonna clean my windshield. My little front windshield is super not awesome, so it's really dirty, lots of bugs and grit and stuff. So and so I'm gonna clean my windshield at the gas station as well. So yeah, I'm gonna do a quick little fuel stop right here. Walmart and our gas station is right here, so I am going to stop by those real quick, and then we will get rolling. And yeah, then we'll be on our way. Look how cheap gas is here. It's only $4, $3.99. In Utah, there's nothing below $4. It's in Utah, it is all like $4.29, I think was the gas prices for pretty much all of Utah and a lot of New Mexico when I left. So but this local area is $3.99. Can you imagine? So spoiled. Anyway, so yeah, we'll get to our gas stop here, and I will see you guys shortly.
you.